What's going on YouTube? ZMC here. Um, so I just want to talk about the whole Chu Leffen debacle that happened at Shine 2017. Now, if you don't know what happened with this, then you might want to go ahead and check out some other sources about it, like go read up on it about on Reddit or something, or like just kind of go back and watch the VODs or something like that. But I'll give a quick summary about it. Essentially, what happened is that Shine 2017, all of this tournament setups they ran on this version of Melee called I'll call it UCF Melee, where it's basically like standard Melee except it has a certain code activated, a few codes really that fix shield dropping on controllers and fix dashback. Now there's some MIOM articles that explain this stuff a lot better than I can. And I think there's a video that Dan Salvato made following the incident that kind of talked about UCF, and I think there's some other opinion articles about why it's important and things like that that you can look at. But the quick version is that if you have a controller that doesn't have a good dashback ratio, like dashback on controllers isn't really like consistent among all controllers. So like some controllers are much better at dashback than the others, okay? And so what UCF aims to do is to fix this by basically standardizing dashback, and also kind of fixes some controller independent issues by fixing some shield dropping and making it much more consistent, okay? And so that's basically what it is. And what happened is that at Shine 2017 in the top 8 on Sunday, Chudat and Leffen had to play in losers. And what happens at the first set, Chudat won in 5 games. Leffen won the first two, won those two very convincingly, okay? And then the next three, Chudat won uh, in pretty close matches. And, it was a great reverse sweep. Chudat did very well. What happened is that a few minutes after the set, one of the TOs ended up realizing that, and some people, and I think Matt Dobzev even noted that it was before the set where they realized that the tournament setup on stream, which is the one they were playing on during the whole top 8, what did not have UCF activated, the controller fix. So the ruling by the TOs was, okay, let's have them replay the set. And so they told Chu and Leffen this. They ended up replaying the set on stream, and you can find both the original set and the rematch on VG Bootcamp VODs, in case you want to watch those. And the second set, Leffen won in 5. I think each game was like back and forth. Like Leffen won the first, Chudat second, Leffen third, Chudat fourth, and like Leffen fifth game on Fountain of Dreams. I think it went like that. And yeah, Leffen won the second set, and Chudat ended up getting eliminated at seventh, even though like it should have been Leffen who was eliminated at seventh. Um, if we went on the results in the first set, okay. So that's basically the issue. That's like what the issue was. And now, for the second part of this, I'm gonna go and talk about how I feel about the issue and what I think of how other people feel about the issue. My personal take on this is that Leffen didn't really do anything wrong. I don't believe he did. Okay. Now you can say what you want. You can say anything about Leffen's master plans or whatever, but I think the guy is like pretty honest. I don't think he's gonna be somebody. I think Leffen's a pretty real dude. Like I don't think he's gonna like lie to people about anything. Okay. I don't really see him as that kind of person. If you had the perception of him, fine, but that's not really where I see him coming from. Okay. I think he cares about his fans and cares about the people who still do like him, and he cares about the game and all of that. So he's not gonna lie to the people who help make his livelihood. Okay. So I do believe that Leffen just followed the rulings of the TOs, and followed the rules set out by the tournament itself. And he was like, okay, I have to replay this set. Okay, yeah, sure, it works more in Leffen's favor, and Chudak kind of gets screwed because he only has everything to lose, right? But this is what the TOs declared, okay? And so you have to go with it, right? And if you guys know Leffen, the guy's a very competitive person. He's extremely competitive. Like he may not show it all the time, but the guy he fights, man. He brings it all out there, and he's a very very competitive person. Okay, and so when he has an opportunity to win and to be able to take something back, he's gonna take that. Okay, he's not gonna. The guy doesn't give homing stocks. He's gonna like take all the advantages he can get, and I don't really think there's a problem with that. Okay, as long as it's within the bounds, the rules of the tournament, I don't personally believe there's a problem with that. Okay, I understand that one person kind of got shafted, which was true that, okay? He got the very, very short end of the stick, and that was awful for him. But Leffen didn't break any rules. He did everything completely within the rulings of the TOs, and he won the second set, and so that's what counted into the placings of the tournament. Chuda ended up getting eliminated seventh and all of that, okay? Now, now that I've gone over the fact that I don't believe Leffen broke any rules or Leffen really did anything particularly wrong. Okay, you can argue that maybe he was a little bit like douchey or dickish or whatever. Say that, oh, that was really mean for him to do. Okay, you can argue that, but breaking rules, doing anything wrong, no. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is why I believe that is the fact that people are still saying things like, we should boycott Shine, fire the TOs. Okay. Now this is what these are the kind of things that particularly irk me when I hear people talk about this issue, is when people start pointing fingers at the TO. Okay, I will admit, if there's anyone we should blame on this issue, it should be the TOs, because they should have been more privy on checking up on, okay, do we have UCF on, or all the whatever tournament settings we have enabled on the stream setup, enabled on every setup in the venue, okay? Maybe they should have been better about that. And yeah, they probably could have. But what really pains me is that we had this new MIOM rule set that came out not too long ago, less than a month ago, okay? And Shine is one of the biggest tournaments it's probably like the biggest tournament that happens right after that rule set came out, okay? I don't think between when the MIM rule set was released and Shine, there weren't any big major tournaments on that scale. So when we're trying out this new thing, this rule set with these new settings of UCF and all of that, of course there's going to be growing pains. Okay, Melee in general has been a very static game, and we don't really, and in the community we don't really like. This is my personal opinion, which maybe I'll talk about in another video. But I personally don't believe that the Melee community is especially, how do you say it? Is especially very readily accepting. There's a better term for it, but it's very readily available, stuff like that, to change. Okay, to modifications to make the game better or make it so that the game can be played at a higher level and to fix imperfections and randomness. Okay, I think for UCF personally, I think UCF is a very good step in the right direction because it fixes the dashback stuff. So the scarcity of controllers with a good dashback ratio isn't quite as impactful as it will start to be, because if you've read stuff about dashback, you know that dashback on controllers gets worse as you keep using them, and so we have to prepare for the future, right? And this is a very good way to do that. Now, of course, when you prepare for the future and start having major changes at major big scale tournaments like Shine, there are going to be growing pains. Growing pains are a natural part of change, okay, of growth, okay? These are growing pains, not actual like chronic problems or terminal problems or something like that. Like this, it's not like cancer or anything. Okay, like I hate using that term cancer because it's just kind of like a anyway. But you guys kind of know what I mean, right? It's just it's not like this huge awful problem that's gonna kill the community. We need to be like, okay, let's just amputate the Shine. Let's just amputate Shine because this is gonna spread to every other tournament that does things the way Shine decides to do things, and it's just gonna be all bad. No, what we need to do is we can be like, okay, we can treat this. Okay, we can be like, let's learn. Okay, maybe not treat it because Shine's already over, but we can learn from the mistakes of what happened at Shine. Again, yeah, it's awful that Chu and Leffen had to be made examples of for this. Okay, but stuff like this just happens, and you learn from it, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. And if it doesn't happen again, people start to see the real benefits that UCF has on the game. Okay, I really think that if UCF starts picking up steam, which it should, because most of the major tournaments start adapting and using the MIM rule set, which I believe includes things about UCF. Um, we start doing that, and I think I think it's gonna be very good for the game. It's gonna be like, okay, so now I don't have to worry about getting like a amazing controller because my controller, the code in the game will fix the dashback stuff and fix shield drop and all of that. Okay, So I think it's very good, and it's going to be very helpful as the game goes into the future. So yeah, I kind of talked about why I believe UCF is a good thing, and why this kind of mistake here is a growing pain, and why we need to, instead of attacking Leffen, attacking TOs, and being very mean and insensitive about it, we need to be like, okay, what can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again? Is there a way to make it so that UCF is very, very, very apparent on setups? You know, make it so that you can look at somewhere on the character select screen maybe and be like, oh, okay, this has UCF on. I can see it right here. And if the icon is not there, then okay, UCF isn't on. I need to turn it on. That kind of thing. We need to be thinking about solutions, not pointing fingers and blaming others for problems. Okay. But yeah, that's just kind of how I feel about that. I think one last thing I want to talk about is the video Armada made regarding all of this. Now, look, I know I'm just some random in the community, and Armada is the best player in the world. He's number one. He's solidified it. He's been number one for freaking ever, man. And the guy's opinion weighs so much more than anyone else's, and I know that. My opinion doesn't really matter in comparison to Armada's. People may not listen to me. That's fine. Maybe they'll probably listen to Armada. That's cool. I completely get it. But it doesn't mean I can't express my opinion, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna kind of go over like what I kind of feel about how he talked about things. Now, one thing I do agree with him with is that stuff like this should never be the decision of the player, okay? The players who get caught up in this stuff should never be the ones to make a decision of, okay, well, do you want to replay this set? Because that's such a trap question, right? It's like, okay, if I say yes, we should replay this set, then I get attacked because you just wanted to have another chance to win, and man, that's so rude that you just couldn't take the L and walk away. Man, it's so immature, you're a bad competitor, blah blah blah. Okay, so like if you say yeah, then you get attacked by the community. If you're the one who initiated the replay of the set, you get one, attacked by the community, and two, it's mostly you get attacked by the community, but two, it's like like shouldn't that really be something that we let players decide? Yeah. And then if you say like no, then it's like, I mean, you kind of robbed yourself, right? You kind of robbed yourself at another shot because of something that happened. Okay, yeah, I understand that it's like, oh, you're kind of just capitalizing on mistakes that happen, but I mean, like, if you're a competitor, like, man, like you have to capitalize, Um, at least people like who are very competitive, like Leffen, like they capitalize on that stuff, man, and I don't blame them for doing that because they are competitors and this is what they do. This is how they put bread on the table. This is how they get their cheddar, all that. Okay. So I do agree with Armand on that it should never be a decision of players. It should always be something that happens from the TOs. And so that way, people want to get mad, they can go to the TOs or they can try to revise the rules themselves, which is a much more productive process than trying to blame some community member or top player for deciding for it to be this way. Okay, that's never good. Because I think this community can be really vicious sometimes, man. So the less people you can put through that, the better. Another point that Armada talked about that I don't really agree with is that the set shouldn't have been replayed because it's a game you've been playing for 15 years. Like I get where Armada's coming from where he's coming from with that. Like I really do, and like I see what he means. It's like this is how we've been playing the game forever. So why shouldn't we just kind of let it stand because it's what we've been doing forever? Okay. Now, I think unfortunately this argument kind of hinges on UCF not being significantly different from Vanilla Melee, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Because this is the same guy who dropped out of a tournament, made one or two tournaments. It was like FPS and then like what, Smash and Splash? No, he was at Smash and Splash. It was like Frame Perfect Series, and it was this other tournament that he dropped out of because he couldn't find like a good enough controller in time. This is the same guy who did that, but he's talking about, oh, this is the same game you've been playing for 15 years, where the UCF thing will fix controllers and make it so that I don't need to find a 90% dashback controller because my dashbacks will be just as good as every other controller's dashback on UCF. So I don't really see how we can just say, oh, it's the same thing that we've been playing forever and it's not significantly different, which I think is implied by in that argument that it's the same game that we've been playing for 15 years. So yeah, I just don't really believe that Armada can kind of say that and not look a little bit hypocritical for it, or at least not look a little bit like misinformed or something. Because I don't know if Armada's really played on UCF, but like it's like when you have a guy like dropping out of turns because he can't find like a perfect dash back controller, and then he bashes and he says that, oh, the thing that fixes that isn't significantly different, and like I don't really know what to say, man. I really don't. So yeah, I think that's kind of what I want to address with one Armada. Oh yeah, and there's another thing too. I kind of feel like Armada threw Leffen under the bus. It's kind of painful to see someone throwing their own statesman under the bus because when Armada made that Chu Leffen debacle video and they kind of sided with the people who were saying the set should have been replayed, which was definitely most people I believe were saying that the set shouldn't have been replayed, or quite a large portion of the community was saying that. I think Armada seriously added fuel to the fire. Um, the guy's the number one player in the world. His influence on the game is great. So when he validates the views of people, of the majority of the people who are going out here and attacking Leffen, attacking the TOs, and saying the set shouldn't have been replayed, Leffen was such a bad sport for it, and Armada is essentially agreeing with all of this. Now, this isn't to say that Armada shouldn't express his opinion, but when Armada is like agreeing with all of this, it just makes Leffen's life so much harder, man. Like, if I were Armada, I would have been like, okay, so I have my opinion of I think it was unsportsmanlike and it shouldn't have been replayed. Okay, that's a fine opinion to have. I don't agree with it personally. Me, not Armada. I don't agree with it, but that's an opinion you can have. Sure. I would have been like, okay, let me wait for this to cool down. If people ask me about putting out this video, I'm gonna say I'm gonna wait to put this stuff out because I kind of don't want more people going at Leffen, right? Because I remember before Leffen could even stream to talk about it, I think Armada had already put out the video that he was that Armada had put out his video already. So I'm just like, I don't know. I kind of feel like he kind of did Leffen dirty like that. He should have been. I think he should have been like wait at least a few days to then talk about it, so that the kind of heat can blow over, and Leffen doesn't get as much flack because Armada would be very good at converting people to his point of view because he's Armada and he probably knows the most about the game and about tournaments and stuff because he's been doing it forever and he's been the best for quite a while now. So obviously he has a lot of authority on it and people are going to tend to agree with him because it's Armada that's saying it. And one more thing I want to get clear is that, and this is kind of like a sort of a branch off from this, but I don't think that we should just like not, we should just kind of eat up everything Armada says just because it's Armada. Armada is just as open, um, just as vulnerable to criticism. Well, I'm not gonna say vulnerable. It's not the right word, but he's just as it's valid. It's just as valid to criticize him as it is to criticize anyone in the community. Okay, if you want to criticize him, you better know what you're talking about, right? So I hope I do. Maybe I don't, but I hope I do know what I'm talking about when I'm trying to criticize Armada here. But if you want to criticize him, then like I think it's fine. Like I don't think we should just kind of eat up everything he said just because it's Armada. Like I get that his opinions weighs more than what the community weighs more than a lot of the community, but that doesn't mean he's like unable to be criticized. So yeah, I kind of rambled right there at the end, but yeah, that's kind of like my thoughts on the Leffen Chu situation and what Armada kind of said about all of it. So yeah, let me know what you think.